Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about American Vandal. I had to think about the name there for a second, because I've been getting it wrong. I keep saying American Valor for some reason. It's just what's been in my head. But this is the new show from Netflix. This is something that just launched today. It's going to be obviously episode 1, season 1. It's called Hard Facts, Vandalism, and Vulgarity. So we'll start spoiler free because it is a episode 1, so we usually do that for the first episodes. We'll tell you what it's about, what we thought of it without the spoilers, and then we'll warn you before we go into spoilers in the second half. So this is kind of a weird entity. I had no idea what to expect from this. I knew it was loosely based on a true thing that happened, and it was kind of taking like a sort of fake documentary approach to investigating the crime in question, which in this case is presumably a school kid, although I have some guesses that it might not be a school kid at this point already. Vandalises all the school teachers' cars in the car park. One day at school, draws a bunch of dicks as they repeat often in the episode, and the show's kind of about, they've already kind of like blamed someone, and it's kind of this investigative documentary, which is actually done, in context of the story, is done by like one of the students from the AV club in the school, and that's kind of the device that frames it. And it is, and it doesn't do any sort of bullshit recreation either. Like, it's sort of, everything's presented as if it is, this is like a little bit of footage from a cell phone, this is a little bit of footage from a YouTube video, security camera. Like, it really goes out of its way to feel as authentic as it can in terms of its sort of crime documentary style. But it's fiction, of course.
Yeah.
So it's a weird entity. We've not really reviewed anything quite like this, unless you count like, the sitcoms that do the fake documentary thing. But this is still very different from that, because it's not. I mean, there's parts of it that are kind of funny, but it's not that type of show.
Yeah, that's the first thing. I was under the impression this was a comedy, or at the very least, I was told it was a satirical version of, those types of shows. This documentary.
It kind of is. Like, I can see kind of why they would say that.
Yeah, but then I saw the first episode was 35 minutes long.
I
was like, okay, this is pretty hefty for a comedy.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, Netflix have long been playing with what the rules are.
Even for them, 35 minutes is quite a lot.
Yeah. But so yeah, it's a weird show actually, because I feel like it takes itself so seriously. To a point. I mean, obviously they keep talking about all the dicks that were on the cars, and they keep there's some verbal stuff that comes up that does feel like it is okay. Right? We're not taking this super seriously, but it's presented with the tone of it being very serious, which I think it worked for me a little bit more as it went on. The first chunk of it, I was feeling really weird and kind of like I was watching through a window. I'm like, what is this? What's going on? Why is this like this? Because it was taking itself so seriously, but the crime they're investigating is just a bunch of dicks that have been drawn in cars. Which, don't get me wrong, vandalism's wrong. That's a lot of damage. As they point out, it was like $100,000 worth of damage all in. Once you stack up all the cars, and they hit 27 in all, I believe is the number. But it's like, yeah, but do I really care about this mystery that much? It is just a bunch of vandalism. But it's not a murder. Yeah. It's not something inherently interesting from the get-go. I will admit, though, by the end of the episode, I do think they spun enough of a sort of web about the whole thing, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of curious a little bit.
No, see, I'm just bored.
I wasn't bored. I got kind of what it was going for as it went on.
It's like, say, it's satirical because it's taking this, it's treated dead seriously, but with this stupid thing of, it's a bunch of dicks.
It's a bunch of dicks. They say that a lot.
And that's where I'm kind of over it. I get it. It's supposed to be funny because it's a bunch of dicks, but it stops being funny.
Well, here's the thing. It never really started being funny for me. There was maybe one or two small chuckles.
But it's supposed to be like juvenile funny.
Yeah.
But I just I'm like, this isn't funny.
It's not funny. No, I don't think it's that funny either. I think the only time I kind of chuckled a little bit is when the court defense, the analysis for the case, came down to the fact that there wasn't any like hair on the testicles, because the kid that they're blaming usually draws hair on the testicles, and that was like
and this is it though. But I didn't think that was funny either. Like I get this is supposed to be why it's funny. It's like it's supposed to be, oh, here's the crux of the evidence, and it's something stupid. But I'm just going, but it's stupid. Just shut up.
No, I agree. I think you're being too harsh though. I think you're gunning for this for some reason, and when I say I was amused by it, I literally mean amused. I wasn't laughing. I was amused slightly by various things at times. I was never like, this is funny. It is weird. Like, I'll make it clear, I have no intention of really doing any more of this. Like, I don't think it's anything that we could even talk about episode to episode. It's kind of a weird mishmash of things.
Yeah.
I will say they did do a good job of making it feel like a crime documentary TV show. It feels authentic in that sense.
Yeah. But I think probably too much, given again, they're talking about dicks.
But this is the thing. I think it's two in the middle. It's in between two things. I think it has to be a bit more... Like, I can almost see this being like something more like a Parks and Recreation kind of idea, where the characters are a bit more kooky. And I feel like that would be maybe an avenue where you would enjoy this a bit more. And maybe it's because I just watched Trial and Error, which is kind of, it was a murder trial and it was that type of comedy, but I feel like that lends itself to what it's doing here with, the dicks on the cars.
Yeah.
Either that, or you give me a more interesting crime where I actually care about the core character who's like been convicted or accused of it.
Right, because he's been accused of drawing some dicks. It's not the end of the world. It's not like he's been accused. It's not like like to go back to that last one that you were just talking about, Trial and Error. It's not like he's been accused of murdering someone.
Yeah, basically my stance on it is that for the first 10 minutes, I was kind of feeling as harsh as you are right now. I was kind of like...
See, I don't think I got over that.
I was like, what is this? It's this weird mix of things. I don't know what it's going for. But by the end, I do at least think that for whatever it's doing, and arguably what it's doing is not something they should be trying, but for what it is doing, they've done the best they can. Does that make sense?
It does, and I don't think it's badly put together. Like, technically, it's fine.
Yeah, it feels authentic. That's the thing. Like, at the start, I was like, this crime's stupid. Why do I care who did this? I don't give a shit. But at the very least, like, I think, honestly, the biggest asset it has is the character they have who's making the documentary. He's narrating it, right? And I think he's quite good, because when it got to later on and he's like saying, okay, there's 9 possible suspects, and he's like, he's got a name for them, and they've got the string and the board out and the murder board and all the rest of it. And when it was getting to that stuff, I was like, okay, he's taking it so even though it's a stupid crime, the fact that he's treating it like this, it was starting to kind of work to a point. Right? Again, I don't actually really care enough to watch any more of it, so take that appraisal for what it's worth.
You know how you said for the first 10 minutes you felt like you were at a window looking in.
Yeah, I'm like, what was this?
I still feel that by the end. I go, I see what you're doing, but I don't understand why I should care or why I should be enjoying it.
Yeah. That's...
But like I said, I see what they're doing. I understand what they're trying to do. Technically, what they're doing is fine, but I don't get it.
I feel like you're grudging them, though. I don't grudge them for doing this. I feel like this was a weird experiment. And admittedly, arguably, it's failed for me because I don't really care about the other 7 episodes. But by the time it got to the end, I'm like, you know what? It was well enough put together. And they never faltered from the joke. They never played their hand.
I think I'd be a little bit less annoyed if it had been shorter.
Yeah,
I think 35 minutes for the first episode of me going, what is this? And I feel like after that a long amount of time, I'm kind of going, ugh. When the joke's kind of not there for me.
I think... I mean, I'd say try it. It may work for you. It's such a unique thing that I could see it working for some people. I do think, it's just too in between the two extremes. Like, either you go serious, and because I was thinking about it as I was watching, I was thinking, well, what if it was a murder, right? And there was an actual police investigation going on, but this kid in the AV club said, I want to do it in my own investigation. And you think, oh, he's not really going to find that because he's just a high school kid. but he somehow stumbles into some actual proper evidence that the police don't have. He somehow blows it open, right?
As I think if you give me a case like that where it's more interesting, I'd be much more on board with this.
Like that could be good, but likewise, I think the dicks on the cars could work if the characters were a lot more kooky. Instead, they're actually pretty realistic, and it just kind of
Yeah.
like sure the kid obviously it starts off saying the kid's been expelled, and like he's talking about how like that's not actually that great, even though he's a bit of an idiot who thought it might be fun. But again, it's authentic in what it's doing, because when he's talking about like how he's lonely from being expelled, I'm like, okay, this feels oddly authentic for what it is. It's just applied to a really stupid crime.
Yeah, exactly. But that disconnect stops me getting invested.
But the cast is pretty good, actually. I thought the acting was typically
Yeah, it is. I have
on
no problem
point.
with that at all.
It's got obviously its visual style, which is just crime documentary, but it was doing that sort of thing where it was showing you the document, and it was like highlighting parts of the text, and it was like sort of like they were sort of zooming out a little bit from the page, and it was highlighting, and it did all the little tricks, all the little visual cues that
you'd expect.
Yeah, so like I say, authentic in what it's doing. I think ultimately where we are falling down from it, I mean, you even more than me, but I'm still on that side of things, is the core idea. But maybe you should have veered more one way or the other.
Yeah, that's definitely what the problem really stems from at its core.
So I'll say spoiler warning just now, although I don't think there's too much that we will actually spoil, but I just wanted to present my theories at this point, and anyone who watches the whole thing can come back and tell us if I'm right.
So, teacher that slashed their own tire?
I think she's too obvious.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I mean.
Because they present the facts, right? And I think this is where it got a little bit more interesting for me, because the first, when it was just explaining the crime, it was just showing you what type of character the kid was, it was kind of like whatever. But once it was like, no, here's the reasons why they think he's guilty. It's like, because he's got a history of drawing dicks, he hated this teacher, and he's, the four things. There was a witness, and there was, he had access to the cameras to erase the footage. That was the four things, right?
Yeah.
Once I started going through that, that was where it got a little bit more interesting for me, because, okay, you're presenting me the web, the game board, for me to actually start analysing the evidence and figure it out. And I think maybe that's where it started to pick up just a little bit for me, because at least at that point, okay, I can play along now. You're giving me the evidence, and I can sort of join in and kind of like piece it. Because the whole dick thing with the ball hair not being there, that I actually thought that first. As soon as they showed you a clip of, what's his name? Dylan. As soon as they showed you a clip of him on the whiteboard drawing a dick, I was like, wait a minute, that looks nothing like the dicks that are on those cars. That was my first thought, and sure enough, but a few minutes later they brought that up.
Yeah.
So I was like, fair play to that.
I don't know. I agree. Like it's better once it gets to that, because like you said, you can play along with it.
Yeah.
But again, it's this disconnect in the crime that makes me go, yeah, but I don't. Why do I care about solving it? It's weird, because I should, like I say, it's giving you all the pieces. It wants you to play along.
But I mean, arguably that's why it should be interesting. Is like if it is a teacher, because that suddenly makes it a much more, deeper case. It's not just a kid who's vandalised some cars. It's a teacher who's trying to frame a kid, which is, more interesting.
Yeah, arguably, yeah.
I don't think it's arguably. I think it is. It's just more of a, because you expect some little shithead to do something like this, but like a teacher who's trying to frame a kid who they hate. But yeah, so one of the things is they set up that he really hates this one teacher, and she really hates him, and she's the only one who gets her tire slashed along with the vandalism. So, which again feels very kind of like, yeah, that'll make him look guilty kind of thing. Someone's framing him. And then there's an untrustworthy witness. But I think she's too obvious. They set up that only 9 kids could have erased the footage, because they're in the AV club, so they have access to the rooms that have the computers and stuff where they could feasibly go on. Actually, do you know the one moment I genuinely really liked, actually? I'll give you the one moment, probably the funniest moment, but not in a laugh out loud funny kind of way, but just in a sort of observational kind of way. It's when they're presenting the evidence, like, because he's working with a couple of kids with the murder board, and they're presenting the evidence to each other, and the kid who was convinced he'd done it finally kind of changed his mind when he learned that when he was, when they brought to Dylan, oh, you erased the footage. He's like, no, I'm too stupid to do that. And the kid says that's the smartest thing he's ever said, because he's right, he is too stupid to do that. I was like, you know what, that was a good line. I'll give you it. I thought that was a good observation. He's right.
That's fair. I think ultimately it's going to be a group of them against him.
Yeah, it's a group. I think
It's
it's a
going to be a
teacher.
group of people. I don't know. There might be a teacher involved, but if not, it's going to be a group of kids getting back at him for all the stupid YouTube pranks that he's pulled on them.
Yeah, it'll be a revenge thing. But then again, there's 7 more episodes. Like, I feel like there's going to have to be a lot of swerves if there's 7 episodes of
Probably
this.
is. Yeah.
Past this first episode. So I think it's a teacher, but I don't think it's the obvious one because she's far too obvious. The AV club teacher. It seems
Yeah.
completely suspect at this point, just because he would have had access.
This is why I was saying a group, because then it's like, okay, it's easy just to get one of those involved.
Actually, what if it's all the teachers? What if it's like a conspiracy of the entire faculty? They all hate this little shitbag, so they're like, yeah, let's do this. That's why it happened so quickly. It happened in this small time period. That's why, they had someone on the inside to erase the footage. All the teachers went out together and all did their own car. And that's why there was 2 or 3 missing, because there was teachers who were, either weren't in on it, weren't around that day, or they were doing something else, so they weren't on the plan.
Yeah, could be.
That's my best guess at this point. All the teachers did it themselves. It's all a conspiracy because they hate this kid.
And no, you say that there and you laugh, and that kind of highlights the problem. The more ridiculous it gets, that should make it better. But it's still going to play it so straight that I don't think it'll be funny.
I don't genuinely think they're going for laugh out loud funny though. Was the weird thing, which is where the tone's kind of off and strange, and I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It feels like it's going for, I don't know. You've seen Community, right?
Yeah.
Remember the Civil War documentary
Yeah,
episode?
yeah.
It feels like they're kind of going for like, that's not the exact same, but the idea is that authentic feel of that. Now that had a lot more impact because we knew the characters and they all had context and like sort of beyond what they were doing. But I feel like they're going for something like that where it feels authentic to this, even though the actual incident we're talking about, like, because in those episodes it was a pillow fight.
Yeah, like I say, that's where the satire of it comes from, because it's this stupid incident. But here it doesn't really work because I think it's too juvenile. Where like the pillow thing in Community, it's like, okay, that's stupid, but okay. Whereas this feels like it's very, it's juvenile teenager drawing dicks. Like it's too stupid.
It's not that it's too stupid. It's not a big enough deal in terms of story, and it's too real. Like if it was actually something proper stupid, like really stupid, like a pillow fight is stupid. That's not a crime. Is having a pillow fight.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Right? But like, because it's something that actually is like, yeah, I'm sure maybe not the whole faculty, but I'm sure kids have vandalized teachers' cars. That I'm no doubt of that. It's probably happened in every single country, and it's probably, I'd be surprised if any school doesn't have at least a history of that happening once.
I can think of it happening in my school. So
exactly. So it's such a normal occurrence that.
I think that's kind of part of the problem, because it is too normal.
Yeah, which is why I think the one time it starts to get interesting in the second half of the episode is when it becomes more of a web. Like there's actually a lot of holes in their story that they seem to be going down, and so I think what it's got going for it is it actually is weaving this big web that you could play along with, and it does feel really authentic. Like just something as simple as the teacher, like whenever it cuts to that sort of hearing kind of scene. Where it's like the teacher's like interviewing the friends and it interviews him and his mum's sitting there. He genuinely felt like a guy who works at a school. Like it was a very on point in that sense.
I will give it a nice touch on the technical side. At that point, is they weren't mic'd up.
So it sounds like shit.
It sounds like shit. You can hear where the mic is in the room with the camera. That's all you've got to it.
Yeah, it was the same with when it cut to the TV news report footage at the start of the incident. And it just looked kind of shitty compared to everything else. And it was very intentional.
Yeah. As I said, like technically, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, technically, I think from an acting point of view, everyone is being very authentic. Arguably, Dylan is maybe the one who's just a little bit too over the top.
He's a little bit almost eccentric, isn't he?
Yeah. At the same time, though, it's like I'm not too hard pressed to think that someone exactly like this exists, because I can see parts of him in other people.
Yeah.
It's maybe just a little bit too much on one character, but everyone else feels super realistic. Also, weird, not bonus points, it's not really a positive per se, just an observation, but this is the first time I've ever seen a character in a show be a Twitch streamer. I don't think I've seen that before.
No, I don't think I have either. Now that you mention
And
it.
what's funny is that you see her bedroom before that scene, and I noticed the gaming chair. And I'm like, oh, she got one of those gaming chairs that all the big Twitch streamers have. And then sure
Yeah.
enough, 5 minutes later, she's like
It,
showing her
it's
footage on Twitch.
it's like you know the Unfriended, where it was like it felt genuine in the way they used it, like in a way that you don't usually see in the way they use technology.
Yeah, because they talk about him putting stupid videos on YouTube, and I actually that was maybe the other time I laughed. Actually, I'll give it credit here. It was when it was telling you subscriber count, and it was like saying he's proud and he thinks he's the next big thing, and it was like 300 subscribers.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I got a little chuckle out of me.
yeah.
So there's a couple of little things. I mean, like I say, I don't care enough to watch any more of it, but I'm not as harsh on it as you are. You seem to be kind of pissed that you watched it, whereas I'm
Like
like,
I said, I think if this had been 20 to 25 minutes, I'd kind of be where you were, but it went on too long that I kind of just got sick of it, and it made me
Okay.
annoyed at it that I was still watching it.
all right, that's fair. I think the reason why I don't feel that way is because it got a little bit better in the second half. So had it stayed the same, I'd probably I'd be
Yeah,
feeling the
that's fair
exact same
enough.
thing. But because it was a little bit better in the second half, where I started to feel like, okay, I can kind of see where the investment could be here.
Yeah,
Uh, and obviously it ends in a sort of cliffhanger where the credibility of the witness is brought up, and it sort of ends with him sitting down for an interview with our filmmaker, our AV club student, and that's kind of where it ends. So there's a decent enough little cliffhanger for in the context of this show.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. If it ends with because the reason why everyone thinks he's unreliable is because he claimed he got a hand job from this girl who everyone thinks no, she's way out of his league.
Yeah,
Because it shows you like, oh, this is who she's dated in the past, and it was like these perfect specimens of boys, and then it cut to this little ginger kid, and it was like, yeah, okay, something's awry.
yeah. It's just the ginger that set you off, isn't it?
Yeah, braces as well, to be fair.
That's true.
I had the whole thing gone. But no, so there you go. That's American Vandal. Not quite working for me. I can see some people getting something out of it.
Yeah,
I can see some people getting something out of it. I'm not as mad about it as you are, but certainly it's a weird in the. I think it had to go one way or the other for me to really
like I said,
do something.
again, I didn't like it, but it's not that I don't think it would be like bad for everyone. It's the sort of thing where if you manage to get into it, I think because technically it is very good. So I think if you just about manage to get into it, then this could be really enjoyable.
It could be. The funny thing is though, is even if I liked this, I'm not sure we would review more of it. I don't know. I mean, maybe like learning new facts and theorizing would be enough to like make it worth
Yeah,
talking about.
it would be less of a review and more of a let's try and solve the mystery.
Yeah, because unlike other shows, a lot of the shows we talk about character motivations, we talk about why are characters doing what they're doing and where are they going and all that kind. That's a big part of what we talk about, and I feel like that's not going to be in this because it is presented the way it is. But that's by
Yeah.
design because it wants to go for this feel, and that's fair enough. So that's American Vandal. If you give it a chance, watch it. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. If you watch more of it, if you think it got even better, if you think it did progress into something a lot more riveting, tell us. By all means, let us know in the comments. But otherwise, that's us. So like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mildfuzztv. You can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?